Thanks very much. Welcome back to another episode of The Gold Room. Today we have Wayne Budrey in as a co-host. Wayne, thanks very much for coming in. Mate, as I've said previously, what we're doing is we are taking our suppliers and mining service providers from the mic to the mine, hopefully in order to reduce costs for the mining suppliers and also reduce a little bit of pressure on the mining companies themselves having to deal with door knocking.
Yeah.
Mate, you've come all the way from Esperance.
Flew in this morning.
Beautiful. Who picked you up from the airport?
You did.
Yeah, no, I did.
It was a hairy drive.
yeah, everyone who knows me will know, be like, oh, shit, yep, no, we've never been in the car with him. It's not great. Mate, listen, tell me about the life and the times of Wayne Budrey. Where did you come from? Where'd you go?
Well, born in Cal.
Beautiful.
Moved down to Esperance, down the south coast there pretty early in my life. I think we were probably before my first birthday. Lived just out of town, out of Esperance, and then moved into town later on. I think I was about one or two when we moved into town. Lived most of my life in Esperance. Ended up doing all my schooling down there. Left school when I was 15.
Beautiful.
Back in those days, you could actually leave when you were 15. So on my 15th birthday, that's when the old man sort of walked past the bedroom door and said, "What are you doing?" I was, "Well, I'm not getting anything out of the school. School's not getting anything out of me." So he was like, "Beauty," because he was a truck driver. Yeah. Okay, mate, get in the truck.
Yeah.
So I pretty much left school on my 15th birthday and was off-siding the old boy in the truck. Just basically helping out, trying to get as much grain on the trailer as I could.
Oh, true. So how far were you travelling?
Oh, we were doing hundreds of Ks each day.
Really?
Early mornings, late start. I should say early starts.
Late finish?
Late finishes.
Yep.
Last load of the day, the old boy used to get me to drive the truck most of the
At
way
15?
back to town. Yep.
At 15?
Fully loaded road train.
Wow.
I'd be driving it back into town.
Wow.
These were many years ago.
Of course. You would have had your HR, you would have everything.
Oh yeah, of course. At 15, yeah. So anyway, I'd be driving back into town late in the afternoon or late in the evening. Probably about 10, 15 k's from town. I'd pull up, swap positions.
Yeah.
He'd drive the rest of the way back into town, and then off we'd go home. Tea would usually be sitting in the microwave or on a pot of hot water.
Yeah,
Keep it warm.
On the stove.
Mum's
got it ready.
Yep.
Beautiful. Good woman.
Yeah, jump into bed, back up early in the morning, laying back underneath the truck, greasing it up in the lineup.
Oh, cool.
Sort of thing, moving along. So back in those days, she was an old air start Mac. So I'd be laying underneath the truck, greasing it, and the old boy started up. I'd have to roll out. He'd move the truck forward, then I'd roll back under and keep greasing the unis, etc.
Wow.
That was just to keep things moving.
Yep.
Pay in those days wasn't real good.
What was it? What were you on? What was your weekly take home?
Well, actually, it was more of a daily pay.
Okay, beautiful.
I got a can of Coke and a pie.
Wow, lucky
And
bugger.
I actually, per season, I actually got a pair of Surfer Joes, the big blue, white.
Jandals.
Yeah, well.
Oh, it's
Sandals.
Thongs.
Jeez.
Sorry, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, mate. I got those, but I thought it was a little bit of a rip-off, really, because the dog actually got a pie as well.
The dog got a pie?
Dog got a pie.
Every day?
And he didn't do anything.
Yeah,
I was
far
the one
out. Owed to be a dog.
Yeah, I was the one climbing up on the back and driving the truck back into town.
Yep.
But as I say, driving the truck back into town each day, so the old boy could jump in the passenger side and crack a can.
Yep.
He was drinking all the way back into town, of course,
Okay.
while I was driving. So he had to keep hydrated as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Tough gig, driving trucks.
Yeah. So I ended up going from that to in the off season, like with the old man would leave, he'd take the truck away, he'd go do other jobs around Kalgoorlie, delivering fuel, etc. And I ended up working for Woolworths.
Did you?
Yeah.
Woolies,
pushing
trolleys? Oh,
pushing trolleys
awesome.
on the weekend. Worked my way up there to being an assistant manager.
Far out.
In one of the departments. Then they turn around.
What department? What were you doing?
Produce.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
I
mate,
pictured
fruit
you
and
more of a
veggies.
butcher.
No, fruit and veg.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So looking after the fruit and veg. I was
Yeah.
fruit and veg boy, and then I in the end they actually offered me a gig to to go off to Perth and become a store manager. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not me. This is not my life. I'm not going to be a Woolworths worker for the rest of my life. So around about the same time, the old man sold, because by this stage he'd built up a few things. He'd got himself trucks and loaders, gravel pits, all those sort of things. So he sold all those off, and as a bit of a dodge with the old tax man, he's gone and bought this other
ATO. Yeah, you're right. He's
gone and bought this other business, recycling business. So we ran a recycling business for a few years.
Nice.
So I was doing. We had cans. We had everything. We had. We still kept most of our grain clients. So during the grain season, the old man would run the grain trucks, and that we had subcontractors come down. He'd run the grain side of it, the cockies and that from the office. I'd continue keeping the recycling side of it going.
Cool.
And just get a little bit more money in, and then so we'd get the boys that came down from Perth region to pick up some pea gravel, bring it down, drop it off in the back paddock, and then after the grain season, we'd get the guys to head back up to Perth, bringing back up glass. So
Really?
they get a load each way, so that, which would sort of cover their fuel.
Yep.
To go up and down, and we'd then have pea gravel to sell, or we'd get rid of our glass to Perth.
Yep.
Sort of thing. So yeah.
Wow, that's bloody awesome.
And the old man ended up getting a bit crook, so we decided to sell the business. Or I said to the old boy, I'm going to get into mining, because at the time my girlfriend, her old man was a foreman up at Bronzewing.
Okay.
So I hit him up, and he took a chance, got me a gig as per is pretty much the standard. You got to sort of know somebody,
someone in mining,
know somebody in mining. So yeah. He got me my first start. And
what'd you start as? What was your first role, mate? Straight onto the levers. Twin boom.
No, I actually started off as a surface TA. I was called at the time. I basically my role was helping out around the workshop, cleaning up machines that came up for a service. Yep. So chucking the old sperm suit on, slip over, give it a power wash, give it a good degrease, and then get it in for the service. Helping out around the stores, cutting cable bolts, because back in up in the Bronzewing days for brand drill, they used to get in a big cassette of cable bolt.
Explain that to me, Wayne. Mate, I'm a fixed plant Sparky, not a great one. Run me through. Look, I have been underground. I've been underground. Norseman, Bullen Decline, Harlequin Decline. There was another couple of places up north of Kalgoorlie that I went, but underground mining not my thing. The whole going to work in the dark, spending all day in the dark, and going home in the dark, which wasn't for me. You know,
it's only for
I need the big city lights at the processing plant day. So look, go through absolutely everything I'm interested. Yep. I want to know, and I'm sure that there's 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 people out there that either are already working in underground mining, might like to know a little bit more about what it was like in the old days. Sorry, mate. Or even what we need in this industry more than ever before is new blood. We need new people coming in, and to be able to start. Obviously, not start as a TA. Start as a TA and work your way up. That's underground mining, isn't it?
Oh yeah, well that's what I did. I started back in I think it was '98 when I started up at Bronzewing for brand drill. One thing I've noticed over the years, it takes a certain sort of mentality. You've got to have a good work ethic.
Yep. Do you reckon we're lacking that nowadays? Have you seen some young fellas or ladies come in?
Yep. Actually,
entitled.
I've seen some ladies come in that beat the boys.
Beautiful. Beautiful. More women in mining. That's what we need.
One of the hardest workers I ever actually seen was a petite young woman, and she was on the bogger, frontline bogger.
Working.
And she would jump out. I went down one time to inspect the face, and because I was the foreman, I went down to the heading, and bogger was parked up, everything switched off. So I walked around it, and she's actually down there, got the 8 kilowatt, slinging it into the water.
8 kilowatt sump pump.
Yeah,
And she's just off the back of the truck.
Yeah, no.
Oh, you got it.
She brought it down to the face because she finished bogging. And so she's like just putting it in just near the end of the mesh, and she's down there slinging it in. I was like, "Do you want a hand?" No, I've got it.
Work it.
Oh, okay, all right then. But yeah, I'd seen some of the boys that would prefer just to leave the pump sitting up there, the jumbo can pick it up and take it down to the face. You know,
They got to do something. They get all the money.
Oh,
you know, what are they actually doing?
keep in mind on it.
I know.
Yeah, so yeah, you've also got to, especially for the fly and fly out sites.
Yep.
You've got to have a good base at home. I've seen a lot of guys that have come up to site, and you can pick them out. You can sort of see them. Like you'll be sitting up at the pub, and you'll see these guys will be sort of pacing back and forth out the front of the pub, trying to get hold of home.
I've seen it myself.
Arguing on the phone because home's been trying to get hold of them. You know, then it's like, well, what's going on at home? What's he doing up there? What's she doing up there? Sort of thing. Yeah. Back and forth, and then it becomes a few arguments.
It's an emotional roller coaster sometimes, mining, isn't it?
I've got the advantage, as I said earlier. My wife's comes from a mining family.
Yep, beautiful.
So she knew what we were getting into from the beginning. Yep. She knew about the fly in, fly out lifestyle.
Yeah.
Another good one for underground people.
Yep.
Anybody that's trying to get into the underground industry is make sure that you are not scared of confined spaces.
Yeah. Okay.
I've seen 4 guys rock up to one site, and one guy they did all the inductions, etc.
Is that something that you just wouldn't know until you're actually there? Like, what are you meant to do? Lock yourself in the wardrobe, see what it's like?
No,
put a cap lamp on at home. You know, how do you actually know? It would be, for me, it's the noises underground. It's the creaking and the cracking and you know, and like a massive truck roaring past you when you're pulled off to the side. I had a couple of scary incidents in Norseman actually with this underground Sparky. He was out of control and he crashed us into a wall.
Yeah.
Twice in the space of a swing.
Is that where you learn to drive?
I mean, anyone who knows me will probably be like, oh shit, you know, that makes sense. No, it's not. But it scared the shit out of me. I actually called my employer at the time and I said, look, Glenn, you've got 4 hours. Yeah. You know, at lunchtime, I called him up and I said, look, you have 4 hours to the end of the day to come up with a reason why you need me back in Kalgoorlie, because I will not work another day underground. You know, he used the bull bar. This guy just parked in against the side of the wall and used the bull bar, like when we got, he used the bull bar to push himself off the wall.
Yeah. Well,
is that a normal thing?
That's whatever works. Yeah.
Oh shit! It didn't work for me, and all I could think of was a.
Well, the wall doesn't move.
No, but the roof does, right? Sometimes.
Backs.
Okay, the backs. Listen, the backs.
Terminology.
Yeah, I will, mate. Listen, I'll be scaling. I'll use my scaling bar on the backs. Before the end of the episode, there's no doubt about it. Another friend of mine actually, when we were talking about underground, he was just like, "What about all the lights? You know, the lights that they run down down the backs. Lights underground?
No,
just headlamps, eh?
Just your cap lamp.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Or whatever's on the front of your vehicle.
Headlights. See, I got those. Yeah. I got that sorted.
Headlights.
Beautiful.
Right,
yeah, beautiful. So I got you at something.
Yeah.
Anyway, Wayne, let's go back to your time underground. Right. So
started off as I said as a surface TA.
Yeah. Just
mucking around on the surface, doing a bit of this, bit of that. And then I ended up getting underground, doing a bit of truck driving. Actually, the first place I went to was the next job I went to was as a nipper, jumbo offsider.
What's a nipper?
So, offside the jumbo. So basically, back then, the actual nipper himself. So it's a little bit okay. You've got your nipper, but then you've got. So I was a actually at that stage was a jumbo offsider. So the nipper would come and pick me up. He'd take me to the jumbo. I'd just stand there, help the jumbo operator by throwing bolts, finding holes if he was a little bit blind. I'd eyeball the hole so he could get the mesh in, or get the bolts in to stick the mesh up, so get the ground support in place.
Yep.
And then as soon as that was done, give him a hand to pull out if he needed to pull out to get a clean up done. And then when he'd pull back in, give him a hand to set back up again, get the lifters, etc. in. And then somebody would come and pick me up. They'd move me on to the next jumbo and I'd help the next jumbo.
How many jumbos in an underground operation running at once?
That one, I think up there back in those days, I think we had something like 5 jumbos running at any one point in time.
How deep underground?
Bronzewing I don't think was too deep, like compared to some of the mines I have been in.
Rabbit warrens, aren't they?
Yeah. Bronzewing, I think from memory was probably only about 800 metres when I was there.
What's the deepest underground mine you've been in?
Over a K, yep.
Really?
1.2.
Wow.
Just over 1.2.
Yep.
Um,
So that's vertical?
Yep.
Right, because
Top to bottom. Yep.
how many kilometres?
So you've usually got, like, so the older mines, you're looking at about a 1 in 10 decline.
Okay.
So for every 10 metres forward, you're actually descending 1 metre.
Yep.
But now, like, you've got more like a 1 in 7. So for
Why have they done that?
strength of the trucks, basically, to get the dirt out a bit quicker.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Well, that's some mining engineering.
Yep. This one 1.2 or over 1.2k deep. That's been at a couple of different mines.
Yep.
When you start getting down to those sort of depths, once you get past the K mark, really, you are starting to get into more seismically active, sort of reactive ground.
Really?
You're looking at changing ground support standards, etc.
Is that like a Demons standard?
No, it's just sort of a general thing. Once you start getting up around depending on the mine, of course, depending on the makeup of the rock down there.
Yep.
You usually, once you start getting around that K mark, you're looking at things will start snapping and popping a little bit more.
Not for me, mate.
Well, yeah. It's not for everybody. As I was saying earlier, it's not for everybody.
Yep.
As you said earlier, the noises down there get some people.
Look, the other thing is the humidity. The humidity down there.
That's what you got your ventilation for. Your ventilation takes care of most of that. But then on top of that,
wet mines, dry mines.
Wet mines, of course, you're going to get a lot more humidity. The deeper you go, the hotter the area actually is, because to get pretty technical, an engineer once told me this, so I don't know how much truth's in it.
Yep. An educated man or woman.
Well, the deeper you're getting, the more pressure on the molecules.
Right.
So the more they're rubbing together, the more friction, heat, creating heat.
Yeah,
Plus, on top of that, trying to get the air out, trying to actually move that heat out of the mine, because you've got diesel machinery working down there, creating heat in itself.
Yep.
The rock itself is holding the heat.
Yep.
So trying to keep your ventilation up to try and dissipate that heat, try and drag it back out.
Yeah.
Got to have the ventilation down there. Keeps you alive, basically.
Yep.
You need the air pumping in there. You need to actually be able to expel the diesel particulates, so the exhaust from the machinery.
And that's all standardized. Like that's a standard.
Yeah.
Is there a standard in place from Demas?
There is for vent flow, even for the temperature down there.
Yep.
You've got
really?
You've got a standard for your temperature underground. That includes your wet bulb temperature, making sure that you only work in a certain area. Once it's over a certain peak, you can only work in there for a set amount of time. Then you have to be removed from the area. All these sort of things come into account when you're actually planning your ventilation for an underground mine.
Wow.
Removing your blast fumes, etc., from firings.
Okay.
All that needs to be kept in consideration. That's why you'll always have somebody on site that will be your designated ventilation officer.
Okay.
So that's their job to go down. They'll keep a monitor on it. I know some mines will actually, or good majority of mines will actually have what's called a kestrel for the supervisors to carry around, and even some of the operators, so they can actually keep control of, or they can monitor what's going on with their ventilation, with the temperature, with the atmosphere that they're working in.
Yep. So, did you have much experience on? You get on the levers, mate?
Levers, yeah. I did a.
That's the terminology,
years,
isn't it? In the underground world.
Did a few years on the single boom.
Yep.
And did some time on the twin. Much preferred the single, really.
Yep.
The twin was just a little bit too much. Like too many people sort of, what's going on? Let's get this happening.
Oh, really?
And I was a little bit too pedantic.
Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah, I prefer to sort of do it right.
Yep.
And especially with my ground support, and then I'd like to try and get it nice and neat, tidy.
Yep. Far out. You wouldn't expect that underground, would you? No. Far out. That's awesome. Mate, do you know a bloke called Jason Dowling?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
You do?
Yep.
Yeah,
Good
I know.
twin boom operator.
Is he?
Yeah.
Some would say Jason Dowling is the best in the business. Is that like a cough?
No, sorry.
He's not.
No, sorry. A lot of twin boomers.
Yep.
Think they are the best in the business.
Yep.
There's a lot of guys out there.
Arrogance that comes with the role. Do you think?
Yep.
Really?
A lot of it. Well, a good twin boomer is quite arrogant.
Yep.
You could say because
this bloke Jason Dowling, he is not arrogant whatsoever.
No. You've got it with the like some of the best twin boom or best jumbo operators are the ones that make it look so easy.
Yep.
Jason was quite good because he did. He made it look quite easy. There was nothing difficult about it. Everything was sort of smoothly transitioned, and that's that's the way you want it to work. You want, like, especially with a twin boom, you want to keep the steels turning at all times.
Yep.
So if you can get a little bit of a routine happening, whereas you've always got you're moving a boom while one's boring, and vice versa, and always keep those steels turning, well then you're always going to be advancing.
Once the single boom, twin boom's been through and drilled the holes, punched the holes in the rock.
Charge up comes along.
So what about the charge up crew, mate? What are they like?
Oh, charge ups usually
running explosives underground.
You got to be a cowboy.
Do you? Well, I mean, you got to be safe.
Yeah,
you got to be safe. You got to do things right.
Well, like back when I was doing it, I was doing it by myself.
What, driving the bomb truck down underground?
Yep.
Charging the face?
Yeah.
And then what, running the...
There was many a time there where, like last minute of the day, you'd be ripping out a twin boom cut in half hour.
What does it usually take?
Take some of these guys, two of them, about an hour now, but there's a lot more, there was a little bit more leniency, you could say, back when I was doing it.
What? Extra bomb in the hole?
Yeah, well, there was stuff going everywhere.
Okay.
But now it
all has to be. I think the mines regs say that it has to be. Bomb goes in.
Yep.
And it all has to equal. It all has to be accounted for, doesn't it?
Yep. That's what I was just about to say. There's a lot more regulation with it now. Back when I was doing it, you didn't there wasn't all the paperwork that went along with it. Making sure that it was, that there was the right amount there, etc.
Yeah. That's how you got some of those stories of people walking into different places or taking bomb out of the mine. With them.
Well,
there's some old school stories of that happening. People taking certainly as well underground miners, air league miners that were having a little home jobby on the side that. Charge up the face there and then take a little bit extra out with them and for their own home jobs. You know about that?
Well,
no, I'm not saying
these lads,
don't name anyone.
Some of these lads probably had little farms where they had to get rid of a stump.
Yep. Oh, really? A little bit of ag work.
A little bit of agricultural work.
Okay.
Back as I was saying earlier, with my old man in the off season, used to cart fuel, etc. At one point, because as I say, he was carting fuel, so he had the licensed truck for it, and he himself had the license. We were actually carting ammonium nitrate, prill, from down in Esperance, from the wharf up to Kalgoorlie to get made into Anfo.
Oh wow!
And
Orica?
Yeah.
Is that who it was?
Yeah, we used to cart it up to Orica, yeah.
Wow.
Up to the yards.
Okay, cool.
That was one of the other jobs that he had.
Yep.
I remember when he was getting the licenses, old mate was going through it all, going, "Oh yeah, look, you've got A, B, C, D, whatever," and he missed out one letter. And the old boy goes, "Oh, what about G or whatever it was?" And he goes, "Oh no, you'll never be carded in that, mate. That's radioactive waste." And my old man, being my old man, turns around and goes, "Oh mate, I've already carded that. 44's on the back of a flat top across Nullarbor." This guy's sort of, whoa, hang on.
Really?
We don't do that anymore, he says.
Yeah.
I can remember that specifically. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the old boy's like, I carded that across the Nullarbor, back of flat top, 44-gallon drums.
Yeah, certainly not in today's day and age. You're getting away with
this
anything
was
like that.
years ago when this happened. Yeah.
So from the drill and blast, you've punched holes in, you've smashed ANFO and everything into the holes.
Load the ANFO in.
Yep.
Put the Magnum or Power Gel or whatever.
Yep.
Into the hole.
Is there lots of different types of explosive?
Well, every company calls theirs a different name.
Okay.
But it's basically just
it's all the same.
Packaged explosives or your boosters for initiating.
Yep. And so what about when they are obviously there's the depth of the hole. When they're charging a face, how many meters or what's the measurement? Is there any particular measurement?
You can drill, like there's rigs out there that'll drill 6 meters.
Only 6 meters.
Well, think about the size of that steel. You got to try and put that bastard on somehow.
Yep. Yeah. True.
And that's that's pretty much just a boring jumbo.
So they'll do a 6 meter blast.
Round. Yep.
Will they do further? Will they do any more than that?
It depends on the operator, how good he is, and how much it'll pull. You're looking. You're not really.
What's the maximum? What's the maximum of a charged face?
Well, just again, it depends on if his holes are splayed out every bloody where. Well, then you're not going to get much off. You'll blow the paint off.
Okay.
But same will happen with a 3 meter round. So you'll only 2.5, 3 meter steels, depending on where the you might be drilling with a 6 meter steel, say.
Yep.
But depending on where the drifter, so the drilling part of the machine, gets to on the rail, so the whole thing's mounted onto a rail, and then you just move the rail into the front of the face, and you start drilling. Where that ends and the face is the depth of your hole, and then on top of that, you've got however good the your spacing, where the back of your holes are, because it doesn't mean anything having your spacing right at the front. The back of your holes have got to be right as well.
Yep.
If they look out away from each other, well then there's more ground back there that actually has to get thrown out or ejected, and therefore the explosive's only going to do as much as it possibly can. So it's only going to go as far as it can into the face.
Yep.
So if they splay out totally different directions, it's only going to break as far as the what's called the powder factor or the strength of the explosive will actually throw it out.
Okay. Shoot, there's a lot that goes into it, eh?
Oh yeah.
Bloody hell. Run me through the steps from everyone leaving the mine to for the blast.
Yeah, so you've got to get everybody out of the hole.
Yep. And what does that entail?
So you'll have a designated firing time. All mine sites will have a designated firing time unless they have what's called independent firing. So independent firing at the pre-start meeting or the morning meeting, you'll sit down and get your rundown for the whole day. The shift supervisor will say, right, so today we're expecting to fire, say, at 10 o'clock. Our set firing times might be in the afternoon of each shift, but because we've got this set location that's independent, or we are going to fire independently, we're going to be firing at 10 o'clock. So therefore, as it gets close, he'll then contact everybody, make sure that everybody comes out of the hole or out of that area.
Yep. So, sorry. Yeah. Do they still fire underground if there are people working in another part of underground?
If the other people are totally independent.
What's independent?
So
how far is independent?
So basically, to fire somewhere independently from other people, you've got to make sure a whole heap of factors. You've got the ventilation for one.
Yep.
You can't have somebody working, say at the 3 levels below, and then have your extraction fan drawing from 2 levels below them. Yep. Because if you fire from above them, that smoke is going to come out, go down, then get picked up by their fan and get blown into their heading.
Oh, shit.
So then they'll get all the blast fumes. No good.
No.
On top of that, so like even if they are independently ventilated, so if the smoke from that fired heading is not going to interfere with them, you've also got to take into account the ground, fractures in the ground, things like that, or intersecting holes.
Yep.
So make sure that there's no diamond drill holes or exploration holes that have gone through there that where somebody could actually also be standing or working. Because if you fire at X level and somebody's over at Y level and there's been a drill hole go through those 2 levels, you could very well shoot the blast straight up that hole, and they could be working there. So you've got to take that into account. You've got to take into account the ground, the lay of the ground or the rock type, and make sure that you're not going to get seismicity in the area. All these things have to be sort of taken into account before. Right. So you have to do a full-blown investigation of the entire area.
Whose job's that?
You've got your geotechnical engineers, you've got your engineers, you've got your, as I was saying before, your vent tech. All these guys have to get together and make sure that there's nothing that's going to interfere with anybody else actually doing it. So not going to interfere with anybody if you do fire that area. So it has to be all, you've got to go through and make sure that nobody's going to be affected.
Yeah, okay.
Could say.
So everyone gets a radio call, or they're notified first thing in the morning. We're going to be firing at 5 p.m.
So you'll
Is
make
it usually change of shift?
Usually it's change of shift. Some sites, as I said, with the independent firing, it'll be broadcast. So you'll tell the guys at the start of shift we're expecting to fire at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So then everybody knows. Then there's everybody in that area, because they will be tagged onto that specific area. If there is an independent firing zone in that area, or independent firing zones within that mine, that the entrance to that particular zone will have a tag system on it.
Okay.
So you actually, as you go past it, you tag on to say that you are in the area.
Yep.
We're going to fire at 10 o'clock. Yep, no worries, guys, it's 9:30, say. Yeah, we're definitely on track. What would you say personally? Like, jump on the radio. What would you say? Jump on the radio. You get so attention all personnel down the such and such decline. We're going to be firing in half an hour.
Yep.
Can we make sure everybody is tagged off in a minimum 20 minutes, so the guys the charge crew can actually do a sweep of the area. So they'll come through. They'll make sure that everybody's out.
There'll be a last man drive through.
So they'll drive through, make sure that nobody's working. They'll already know who's down there.
Because the tag board up the top?
The tag board system.
Yeah. Up the top or in the mine?
Well, if it's an independent firing zone, it'll be at the entrance to that, with the main entrance to that, or the only entrance to that zone. So they'll then get a call to say that you'll actually have a person standing at that tag board, possibly the supervisor, will say, yep, tag board is clear. If it's just a designated controller of the tag board, they'll contact the supervisor. Supervisor will then get the instruction that it's clear, the tag board is closed. So that means nobody can tag on.
How do they close that off? Is there like a plastic flap that goes over it?
There'll be either a gate or a chain or a flap, or there'll be something that closes it off. And on top of that, you've also got a person standing there. Some sites will have a flashing light. Some sites will have a siren. There'll be something in place to identify that you are, one, just about to fire, and two, that the tag board is closed.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So whoever's in control of that tag board will make sure the only people on there are the shot firer themselves and their assistant. That will be it. Those guys will go around, as I say, do a check of the area, make sure that nobody's within the area, and then they'll go to the designated firing position. So you'll have a designated firing point that you'll fire from. Again, like I was saying before, make sure that there's no intersecting holes or anything where you initiate that blast from.
Okay.
So they'll go to that point and they will initiate the blast. Once the blast has gone off, they'll then contact the supervisor. Of course, sorry, they will get permission from the supervisor once the tag board is clear to initiate the blast.
Supervisor or foreman or manager or
Well, it'll either be it should be the supervisor.
Shift boss.
Yeah, shift boss. If something's happened with the shift boss, of course, the foreman will jump in, and he'll throw his 2 cents worth in.
Yep.
But they'll get permission to fire, and then the boys will initiate it. Once the firings are completed, whether it's 1, 2, however many, they'll then call to say that it's been fired, and then they'll leave the area. They'll actually tag off. The board will still be closed. It'll be closed for a designated period of time.
And what is that based on?
So that's based on how long it would take to evacuate that area of the noxious fumes that come from blasting. So that you make sure that everything's ventilated and clear before anybody goes back into it. And then a backup to that, as I say, you'll leave it for 20 minutes, half hour, whatever it is, and then the supervisor will then send the charged guys back down. They'll go back down and they'll actually do what's called a re-entry.
Okay.
The re-entry, they'll go in with a gas monitor. They'll actually do what's called a fresh air calibration on the surface. So they'll actually turn that monitor on the surface or in a fresh air area, and it'll do its full calibration. Then they'll go down into the area. It'll be set up with some alarms. If that unit alarms when they're going in there, then they'll just leave the chains up. But they'll work their way down, opening the area up.
They've done the gas monitoring. They've done the gas testing.
Yep.
They give the all clear.
Yep.
Then what? The bogger runs down the.
Well, then the guys can get down to work.
Yep. And what are they doing once they get down there?
Water down the dirt.
Water
yep,
down the dirt.
You've got to water the area down.
Okay.
Watering down helps, 1, to cool it, 2, to get rid of the dust.
Yep.
And 3,
I didn't know that. That's bloody awesome.
So the first thing you do when you go, or the first thing you do when you go in there, you check your ventilation. So the bogger operator, for instance, will go in. He'll be looking at his ventilation. He'll be making sure that his ventilation's up to scratch. So he'll be the second person. The first guys that went in there doing the re-entry, the charge crew, they'll be checking the ventilation.
Yep.
Then the bogger operator will check his ventilation on the way in. He'll make sure his ventilation is good. He'll make sure the area is good. He'll then do a second check to make sure that everything's gone off. So the first guys that have gone in there to do the re-entry, they'll check to make sure that everything's gone off, and then the bogger operator will check it. He'll also water down.
When you say that everything's gone off, you mean like
everything's initiated.
So anywhere they've put a charge,
drilled a hole, yep, and put explosive in.
Yep, every single one of those has gone off. How do they do that?
Visually, or you'll actually see the tails from the initiation from the deck cord.
Okay.
If that's still hanging there, then you have a closer look.
Surely it's not still hanging there in the wall if all the wall is down.
Sometimes you'll have a little bit left behind, or you might actually still be able, once you water down, you'll be able to see a little bit of pink in the face, a little pink dot in the face, which will be a initiation device or a det that hasn't gone off.
Wow.
And then, so as I say, he'll go in.
Is that dangerous?
He'll water it down.
Is that dangerous?
No.
No? No. Okay. Is it dangerous?
Well, you're not going to go out to it because it's unsupported ground.
Yeah,
we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay. Cool.
So he'll water down on his way in.
Yep.
So he'll water down the walls, etc., to get up to the face, and then he'll put a lot of water on the dirt. As I said before, that gets rid of the dust. It cools the area down, and
the
also
heat, obviously, through
ventilation's going.
Yep.
So it's blowing all that heat out. he'll put the water on the dirt, which will then also get rid of some of those gases that are sort of held in there.
Yep.
It'll trap it in the water molecules, you could say. So he'll water the dirt down, he'll water his backs down, etc., all the way. So basically from the end of his vent bag all the way in. And then once it's all sufficiently watered down, then he'll get into his bogger, he'll start bogging it, or she'll start bogging it.
Okay.
Bog it out to the stockpile or out to a truck.
Mate, you missed one of my favourite bloody parts of underground mining. What about bloody scaling the backs?
We don't do that by hand.
Why?
Back in the day we did.
Yeah, I thought they did.
Back in the day we did. We don't do that.
So
No.
how are they scaling the backs now?
You don't go beyond your last row of, or your last area of support. So wherever
So it has to
your
be
bolts or mesh are,
Yeah.
that's as far as you go. Back in the day, we used to actually water it down and climb up on the dirt and actually scale it, hand scale it.
Also, the bucket. No, I know they didn't do that.
No,
Hey,
that
we're not allowed to say
that. That was after you bogged it.
Okay.
Back in the day, you used to scratch it with the bucket, which would get that little bit extra off.
Okay. Yeah.
But again, a lot of companies have got away from that, and it's deemed a little bit
Unsafe.
a little bit too unsafe because you've actually got the chance of, if you're rubbing the backs with a bucket, that something will bounce off the backs, or come off the backs, bounce off the bucket, and slide down the boom and end up in your lap. So
Oh my gosh. That's the last thing you need.
that's
A bundi in your lap.
in your lap.
Oh, far, I couldn't think of anything worse. Okay. So then from there, from watering everything down, then what?
Bog it out.
Yep.
Bog it out. Get it clean. All the while keeping an eye on what's going on in your face. Keep it in the face itself. Keep an eye out for any, as I said before, misfires, because you don't want to go hitting them.
Yeah, for sure. Are you looking for ground? Are you looking for ground movement, or are you listening for ground movement during this period of time?
Well,
or it's done.
You won't hear a lot. Well, when you're watering down, of course, you're going to introduce water
To
heat.
Yeah.
And so you're going to get some coughing and spluttering and some spitting.
Yeah.
There are some mines that will with the water, it'll just pop off.
Do they have remote watering devices? Do they have remote? Are there trucks? Trucks down there. So obviously there's remote boggers, which like a lot of people know about. But
for some, there are some, like I haven't worked in them myself, but I have seen devices that are set up to actually water down, like especially really seismic sort of areas, or areas that are susceptible to actually popping and carrying on with the water. But mostly anything that does have a seismicity sort of chance to it.
is that an actual word, Wayne? You've said it a few times now. I've never heard of it.
Seismicity.
Yeah.
So seismicity, how would I explain it, is the pressure. So as you excavate, as you take
I'm
dirt
listening.
out,
I'm listening. I just want to
as you're taking dirt out, you're actually creating a void. So within that, so something that's been solid rock before that is actually now got a hole in it. So those pressures that are around that area can, and plus the explosion that you've just made happen, will fracture the rock. The rock will then be ejected off, from where it was previously. So seismicity, as I said earlier, like the deeper you go, the more you're going to encounter it. Some mines it's a lot closer to the surface, depending on the rock type, etc.
So I've got seismicity.
Ooh, here we go.
The worldwide or local distribution of earthquakes in space, time, and magnitude. More specifically, it refers to the measure of the frequency of earthquakes in a region. For example, the number of earthquakes of magnitude between 5 and 6 per 100 square kilometres. Mate. Oh, hang on. What is seismicity in mining? Seismicity is the rock mass response to deformation and failure. A seismic event is the sudden release of potential or stored energy in the rock. The released energy is then radiated as seismic waves. A A rock burst is defined as a mining-induced seismic event that causes damage to openings in the rock. You're all about that? I thought you were when you first said, I was just like, he's making up some words again. This I've seen this before. A couple of bevies in, and he's talking shit. Well done. That's awesome, man. I've learned something new. Thanks very much.
Well, it's all right. Proud to be a teacher.
Then it's at the processing plant, and that's someone else's problem, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, okay.
We've done our part.
Yeah, that's good. Yep. That's underground mining. Wow, what a process. That's an awesome process. And for you to start at the bottom, literally the bottom
pretty much
of the mine.
I started right at the bottom.
What advice would you have for a newcomer in the mining industry?
Well, as I was saying earlier, a good work ethic
is paramount.
It's not a not a safe environment. Keep your head about you. The instance that I've had underground, I've always been when my mind wasn't on the job.
Yep.
And
complacency? Would you say complacency? Complacency in the role?
It was actually, my wife would agree with me here. It was when she was just about due to have a bub.
Yep.
Just about every time she was due to have a bub, my mind was on other things, of course, and that's when I'd hurt myself.
Yep.
Keeping your mind on the job and actually listening to people, asking questions. Back when I first started, as I was saying earlier, I got told that the stupidest question in mining is the one you don't ask.
Yep.
So ask as many questions as you can, and
do you think
listen to the old timers.
Yeah. Do you think the times have changed where asking questions is by the by, and where more companies are saying this is an SOP, follow this, and you're guaranteed guaranteed, but follow this SOP. Usually, a lot of the times, like they say, regulations, it's written in blood. That's the saying, and that's because unfortunately someone's perished, or someone's been injured because of something they've done, and then we learn from these things, don't we?
Yeah.
So would you agree with that?
To an extent, follow your SOPs, follow your procedures, but also asking people, because you need that wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, I believe so.
At the moment, like a lot of people have gone through that, they haven't asked enough questions, or they haven't actually been doing it enough. They got sped through the process. So as I said before, ask some of the old timers if you can find them. Look,
Wayne, thanks very much for coming in, spending the time with us. I look forward to having you as a co-host.
Yep. Sounds good.
Yeah, mate, you've done a bloody great job. You've got some awesome stories, and that's what this is all about. We want to take some great mining stories with some great suppliers, some mining service providers, and be able to give a service back to the mining industry. I think that as I've said before, the mining industry is what keeps this great country of ours alive, and a lot of people might not agree, but that's the bloody crux of it, isn't it? I think so.
Oh, I do too.
Coming out tonight. Hey, hey, what do you know? Gonna live today like no tomorrow. Hey, hey, what do you say? I think that maybe we're just getting started. We're just getting started.
Thanks very much for coming in and chatting with us, mate. Thanks very much for the co-hosting a few episodes that we're going to be doing in the next couple of days.
No worries.
Look, everybody, thank you very much for watching another episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment below. Also, ring that bell and keep us taking our suppliers, service providers from the mic to the mine. Thanks very much.